For January, we're honored to have Chief Kevin Brown and Deputy Chief Anthony Amorosa with us here tonight. We have the usual agenda. Any new business should be requested towards the end. Welcome, Kevin. I think everybody knows everybody here, so I don't think introductions are necessary. Go ahead, Kevin. Welcome.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you. Happy New Year to all. This is our end of year report, but our beginning of New Year report. And before I even get, some PSC updates, going forward in 2023, President Haynes would like to announce that he will have a new format for our PSC meeting. First of all, you just want to make sure that the way that we have worked, it has been a great partnership in collaboration with RIRA, Rosanna, Erin, and the PSC committee. But we want to hold a in-person meeting where we can bring in our NYPD partner and more people to the community and have a meeting at Good Shepherd Church going forward, and and work in collaboration with RIRA and the Public Safety Committee. He wants to make that announcement. He wanted me to, and he wants us to then work in conjunction together to make sure that this meeting goes, that we can have a good meeting together. But
are we going to discuss that at this point? Do you want to have questions on that now, or do you want to go through your report?
I'll go through my report, and but I think that to discuss it, I think that's a bigger meeting where it would. I think that at that point, if you want to be invited, I think with Rosanna, and we discuss it with the communications director and Mr. Haynes on how this will actually go forward.
So there's at this point, you're just canceling the monthly meetings with us that we've done for the last 15 years, even before Jack McManus, down to when Guerra used to be here, although he hesitated to attend them as well. And they were going to in-person meetings, which we also used to have when it was better conditions. But is this going to be monthly that RIOC will be doing these, or
Yes.
just call them occasionally?
No, they will be
meetings.
monthly. They will be monthly. We can get it, like I said, I think that we could have a better offline meeting to go in, how the meeting will transpire and how we, can make it an effective meeting. I think that, one of the things that is just have it open to in person to the community and in partnership. We get a lot of questions, what can NYPD do? And, they will be representative of NYPD there, and we can, stick to the public safety in the community with these meetings.
Right. Well, NYPD is always welcome, and anytime you wanted NYPD here, they certainly could be here. So that shouldn't be a limitation. Believe me, we've had NYPD here before. But okay, go ahead.
So I believe that we will work hard to make sure that this format will be a success.
Sorry, Ike, you have your hand up. Do you want to speak right now before Kevin starts? You're muted, Mike. I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. No, I just had a question because this is a change. It means that the Public Safety Committee regular meetings will not have regular reports from the PSD leadership as part of the meetings. So, and instead it's being proposed.
I think that we could discuss that and incorporate that. Definitely.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to get it clarified because, public meetings are also very good to have. And if we're in a position where we can have public meetings, more of a public forum if issues come up. But this would be a change in what we've been used to doing. And it's possible for special meetings that you would want to attend and give a report, or if some big community issue comes up. But I guess it's a change, but I just want to see, how much it's going to affect our work of working with the Public Safety Department and monitoring events and so on.
Well, it definitely takes the community out of the meetings, I mean, in a sense, but okay, any other questions?
I don't think that the community will be out of it. I think that we're going to make sure that we include the community and that we
Okay.
include all voices in the community.
And the agendas. Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, can you just explain what will be different about these new meetings that's different about what's currently being done?
But one, they'll be in person, which we used to have, but in person, and we will, RIOC and public safety will answer and invite everyone from the community.
Everyone is
We
invited.
will try to get a broader audience, and so that we can reach out and keep all of the community involved in these meetings.
So basically, nothing will change other than trying to get more people involved?
Yes,
And that's a good thing.
I
Right.
think so.
Well, it was interesting when you did it before and you had your bike safety meetings. That didn't last too long. So let's hope it is more successful than when Erica had her own public safety committee meetings and it was bike safety, and that was run by your communications department.
Well,
Ike, your
well,
hand is up, right?
again, that was not a public safety meeting per se. That was an Erica meeting that was
Bike safety, she said.
that she was chairing, and it went by the wayside. This
So who will chair
be,
it? You will be chairing it?
Mr. Haynes and myself and the communications department.
Yeah, she was communications at the time.
I
Okay.
mean, we'll see if it makes
Rosanna.
any difference.
Rosanna, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to ask, there is any particular reason for this change, so to speak?
Like I said, I think that RIOC would like to have more of the community involved and included in these meetings. Open it up at Good Shepherd with a steady with a schedule, an announcement. I think sort of just like the board meeting is, that it will be on the schedule, that it will be consistent, and we will have all of the people who can answer all of the questions as far as public safety is in the community.
Well, these have been consistent, and it's invited, everybody knows, it's invited, the whole community is invited and actually sees them through the blog where they're posted. So I don't know how you could get more representation. Go ahead, Rosanna.
Yeah, I was just about to say that in terms of consistency, actually, the Public Safety Committee
15 years.
has been
No,
one of the
this is, we're not saying that this has not been consistent. We're just saying we're going to build off of this.
Okay, and one more.
This has been consistent. It's steady. It's been scheduled for every third Tuesday of the month, and I think that we had 11 out of 12 for the month for the year of 2022.
I think this is moving away from monitoring, the work of the Public Safety Department from the community, but we'll see how it works out. If any issues come
Not
up,
community policing. Yeah.
if any other issues come up, you could be certain the Public Safety Committee will continue to function independently, but if you're trying to broaden it out, it doesn't seem to me that like a functioning committee that's been very effective over many years, that is broadening out by bypassing it, but we'll see.
Go ahead, Rosanna.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to reply to Kevin regarding to having the meetings in person. Actually, we always have had meetings in person until the COVID. So just as a clarification to everyone, we have always had meet,
Yeah.
including the committees, of course, and including the Public Safety Committee. We have always held meetings in person until the COVID kicked in. And
Which is rising
actually,
again.
I'm sorry?
Which is rising again. COVID is rising again. Many people in RIOC, I believe, were out with it recently.
Exactly. And in fact, with RIRA, we have informally discussed a couple of weeks ago just this issue. And since we have statistically COVID raising again, unfortunately, so that's why we were talking about going back to in person or not, and we chose not to. But I was curious to know if there was anything else that triggered this change, so to speak.
Well, I think that, you know, myself and the president, we have been discussing previously for months how to broaden this meeting, how to get more community involvement. And, you know, we were at this point made a decision that it's, you know, we want to go forward.
Would have been helpful if you had partnered with us to discuss that. Perhaps we could have all three brainstormed. It could have gone on the RIOC website that this meeting happened. It could have been more part of the agenda rather than just having us propose the agenda, because I leave you the whole beginning to discuss whatever you want to discuss. So basically you have a platform to speak to the committee, which is the community, since it's put online every month to report whatever. Although we do the agenda, you get the agenda ahead of time and you would welcome. As far as putting it out to the committee, it would have been wonderful if RIOC had put it in a public service announcement so that people knew about it. That could have brought in your people. Otherwise, everybody, it's the same Zoom link every month. But I hear you. It just, it seems to go away from what Jack McManus, what we did with Charlene and what we did with Jack McManus, what we did under other administrations, where they really were much more concerned to listening and making sure that the community, it wasn't RIOC presenting to, it was the community and it was dialogue. Frank, your hand is up.
I think that we're definitely going to, not that I think, I know we're definitely going to listen. I know that we're definitely going to make sure that it's all inclusive. I know that this has been a good meeting, but we think that we can build on this and make this more a meeting that is better for the community.
As noted, it would have been nice to have the help of your communications department in spreading the word. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, I guess I didn't hear the beginning of this, but it sounds like RIOC has decided to have to replace these meetings with something else. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What?
No, I said yes as Erin. Sorry, Erin. I echoed.
Okay. So let's just cut to the chase here. Really bad idea. RIOC has got a terrible track record on communicating, and this is just, I'm totally opposed to this. The reason why is we've run these meetings here since when I was RIRA president, on the order of 2008, I think it was. No, 2008. And they've been monthly, they've been regular. The community's been able to show up. They've been able to voice their opinions. They've never been able to voice their opinions in any RIOC forum. Let me give you an example, okay? Anything having to do with planning, you had some stuff with the bike safety stuff. Okay, that's something that the community had an interest. You guys cut that off. You have a lot of people now trying to communicate with your communications person who is not communicative, okay? And they don't talk to him. I hear that from David Stone. I hear that from Rick O'Connor. I hear that from everyone else. This is totally unacceptable, because all this is quashing the community's input. And I know you're gonna have a good first meeting and you say we're a success, but 2 months from now, It's going to be nothing like everything else is fizzled that RIOC has led. You guys are terrible, and I mean that across the board in every department, terrible at communicating and convening and connecting to the community. It's unacceptable. We need to lead this because we're the ones who are actually doing the work. You guys are not doing the work in terms of communicating. Totally unacceptable.
Well, I can just say this, and I hear you, Frank. As long as I am here, I am going to hold a meeting and I'm going to be responsive to the community.
And if there's
You have a conflict of interest.
Agenda though,
You-
who sets the
you-
agenda?
You have a conflict of interest, okay? The agenda here is driven by the community. When we have a resident that has an issue, they come in, they talk to Erin, they get it on the agenda. We make sure the topic gets discussed. We make sure it gets discussed. You have meetings, and this is true for every meeting where you got someone pushing up, your 2 minutes are up, that's done, and we're not talking about it anymore. And you always tick off the community doing this. I know that because I held a town hall meeting with former PSD directors. And when RIRA did it, it was fine. You guys don't have the ability to do it, and you're the wrong person because you're the object, as represented by your department, of the complaint. And people don't feel comfortable expressing that because they need to have residents hear that. And not that we believe every resident that every complaint is 100% true, but Erin does a fantastic job, vetting this, and we've had a lot of consistency.
I think that residents will still be able to come to Erin and she can still present these complaints or any types of issues at the meeting.
Are you still going to come to these meetings?
I will be at the meeting, at our
What
meeting.
meetings? These meetings, Frank? Are you talking
I'm
about
talking about the RIRA meeting.
No,
No,
they're
that's
not
what we
planning
want.
to come to the RIRA meetings anymore.
Okay, so then we'll
They're
get a
planning their
community
own meetings.
protest on that. We need to organize because this is totally unacceptable. Okay, and then I'm going to pull out the whole history over the years through multiple RIRA presidents, RIOC presidents, and every time RIOC has tried to communicate with the community in any consistent basis, it has failed. You just don't have the ability to do it.
Well, this is what I can say. I have not had that opportunity. I know that I'm going to continue to be in the community and listen to all of the complaints and then be able to give an honest and truthful answer to each and every person's question.
Rick, Frank,
Unacceptable.
Frank, let Rick
Just one
go.
thing,
And then you can come
and
back.
this is not, I'm not directing this at Kevin or public safety at all. It's directed at RIOC, because I was told directly by Akeem Jamal, who's the communications department director, that RIOC, quote, wants to control the narrative. So that's what this is all about. And again, it's not directed at Kevin. It's directed at the communications policy of RIOC. And that's where it's coming from, in my opinion.
Ike, your hand is up. You're muted, Ike.
Yeah, I just, this, it's unfortunate because we've had a pattern and a rhythm that I think has worked pretty well. When more serious issues have come up, this has been a platform like with the delivery worker months ago, where we can have a back and forth, have a debate. That's worked pretty well since we had the crisis around RIRA many years ago, almost a decade ago now. Actually, definitely a decade ago. So, this may move back towards, the PSC meetings being independent meetings, and we'll have a different form of consultation with the PSD leadership. We certainly will attend these meetings that are being projected with the community, but I do think it is a political move in order to, something like control the narrative or to have public safety issues go through this forum. But, the work of the PSC was always independent. It's actually a relatively new, but it seemed to work for quite a long time, where we had these regular reports with the statistics from the PSD leadership, and everybody, I think, looked forward to having that. And, it's a shame if we lose that, but, life goes on and we'll see how this works out.
Any other comments before Kevin goes on with his report? Frank, do you have anything more to say? I mean, I don't disagree with
Yeah,
Frank. I think it is a mistake.
Just,
but this-
I
Go ahead.
think we're gonna have to figure out how to, just explain to the public why this is unacceptable. This is not in their interest to communicate this way because RIOC does not do it. I mean, and here's the simple evidence, okay? If there were an issue, okay, that the public had, the first thing they'd be doing is coming to you, okay, and saying, oh,
Don't
we got a problem, and and then it gets resolved. But that's not how it happens. Some attempt to resolve it, some don't, okay, but they always come to us, okay?
And,
then we get
you will still be there to be able to handle any
yeah,
type
but
of
you're not
complaint.
attending our meetings. That's what we're requesting. Okay, then we don't have to go to your meetings. You just come to our meetings, okay? It's really unacceptable. I'm offended intellectually by this because, as Rick says, it's an attempt to control the narrative. If I were to quote federal CFRs, it's corrupt because it's dishonest.
I hate to say, but first it was the public purpose funds. I mean, that committee, which was a good functioning committee that did a good job, and the numbers that ended up coming from your independent CRE body, except for some total failures of non-funding for things that were very important to this community and a lack of knowledge regarding what the community really needed, were not that different and did not have the same thought that we put in it, but that was taken. Now you're taking the other important committee that the community has created and has participated and has facilitated for years, and really flourished under Jack McManus after Guerra, because Guerra fought it just like this. Guerra and that reign decided they wanted to control the narrative. So we would have to submit the things. He tried to even threaten the board and say he wasn't going to deal with us because he didn't want to. And they said, no, you have, I mean, it was a whole thing to get where we've gotten, and to have it go back is just, it's unfortunate. It really does show that there's something very strange or untransparent about this new administration or this new communications director who none of us know. Because as I said, had you really wanted to grow your audience, why didn't he call us? Why didn't he say, hey, let's put the announcement on the RIRA. Let's do it like we do the pantry. So everybody's phone, tonight is public safety. Here's the agenda. I mean, announcing it ahead of time. How could you be more obvious about when it is and what time it is? I mean, are you going to make that difference? People are going to want to come out during COVID in the evening. I think that, maybe you'll get 10, maybe you'll get 20. If there's an issue, maybe if you bring NYPD, people will want to raise the banner. We'll see. But it's just unfortunate that something that works and has worked and showed a commitment from RIOC to communicate with the last thing left, because we thought it was a really good public purpose fund. The last one we did, we sat with John, we sat with Shelton, we worked it out. We all came to a unified conclusion. We gave a report, we made recommendations, which were the CRE actually heard later, because Frank and I were both in those meetings and they agreed with them. Yet they took it away. Why? This is the same thing. Why? There's no real reason to make this move when it could have. If you wanted a bigger audience, then promote this meeting. Have your communications person put this out every week, every month, a week before the day of the thing, and see, that's how you'll promote it. You have that. I don't have that. We have the blog. We have, the fact that it happens and the residents. Yes, I could be putting them up on the, but so could you. If you really wanted to grow it, you could put them up, a poster up in your office saying Public Safety Committee meeting. So if you really wanted that, there are steps your people could have taken beside just deciding that you were going to recreate something which already exists and which works. That's which is odd. Is your hand up, Ike, for a reason? or
No,
is it old hand?
no.
Okay, Frank's hand is up.
So I just want to echo Aaron's point. So just to use the public purpose funds, as an example, you have no problem putting out a thing. Here's something that's happening with this group, maybe with Riva or maybe with
Now.
what is it? Christina Delfico's, I dig to learn, thing like that. Okay. But it's very selective, okay, on this because you don't do it consistently across the communities. We're the ones that advocate for our community. Okay. DHCR, your parent, okay, recognizes that it's the residents association that represents the community. That's the way it is. Okay. It's been that way since 1977. Okay. And I'll just tell you on something that I care a lot about. Okay. I care a lot about emergency response. How many times did I tell you guys, why don't we have a meeting with the building managers? Oh, we'll get around it, nothing's gotten done. That's the reason why I do the monthly meetings is because you guys can't talk to the community. I've even spoken to the new communications director whose first moment when I said, hey, why don't we do this? I'll work with the youth center because I'm trained on teaching emergency preparedness to students. First thing is to figure out how to not do it. I was really surprised, okay? He's not interested. He's interested in control, okay? He's not interested in the community. And I have to say, for having a communications person that started, okay, that the island doesn't know, I don't know if I'd recognize him, okay? And I recognize not a lot of people at RIOC, okay, even though I've met him twice, okay, that's a person who's doing his job incompetently, okay? If you're interested in communicating, and there's been nothing in communication, okay? The only thing that we get in communication on the island is about the stupid subway elevator, okay, every week. Okay, multiple times. Okay, the buses, and wait till we get to parking. Okay, because you guys have managed that incompetently. I now went and gotten stats. Okay, on this, it's incompetent, and you're violating the law with respect to New York City parking spots on this. So.
And do you know, Frank, that they're
gonna...
charging now? Next month, they're starting to charge for handicap, which means all of those spots that we have on the street that we hate it when the handicap people take, all of the people that do not want to have to pay or cannot afford to pay for handicap spots will be on the street, which means there'll be no parking for residents who need to load and unload.
Well, hold on, wait, there's more.
I think that
RIOC is managing this.
how about if we
Yeah,
Let me finish. Hold on. I want to finish.
Why don't we go through?
I only got 2 minutes.
All right,
I mean, the
2
problem-
more minutes, then, Frank, because we got to do with the agenda.
Okay. So
And I
here's
have
the
to
thing.
close this in
Here's the
20
thing.
minutes.
On your Department of Consumer Affairs signage outside, it says you have 720 spots. No, the answer is probably on the order of about 1,200 spots. You lie about that. Okay. The second thing is that when I got there over the weekend, it said there was only 1 spot available. So I asked them, how is a 1 spot available? Okay. And, I know there are people who have, unreserved spots. Okay. But there are literally, and I counted them and I took pictures, 415 spots available in the garage at that moment. 415. Okay. But you have 1. There's not 415 or 414 unreserved parkers outside waiting to come in because they have a spot or whatever. No, it's just by law. You guys are lying to Department of Consumer Affairs on your license. Okay. And the system is programmed improperly and your policy is messed up.
Okay, Frank, I think it's enough. Kevin's not going to do anything about that. That has to go on to Shelton or whoever is responsible. I mean, he's not really responsible for this. All right. As you can see, Kevin, the community, at least this representation of it, is not too thrilled with the idea, but why don't you go ahead with the agenda?
Okay, so
we've got 20 minutes.
I will go through the agenda. I'll go through the important stuff. Try to answer any other questions. And like I said, I appreciate your passion and we will revisit this at a later time. January, like I said, Happy New Year to all. Hope everyone had a safe and healthy New Year. We ended our year, December 2022, with 32 total crimes for the year of the 7 majors, 32 total. But we have that one disturbing number that I pointed to for the last few years. We have these 17 felony assaults that occur. They're very random. They occur, you know, a lot of these domestic dispute complaints that I am going to continue to work to try to, you know, reduce this. We had a workshop on domestic violence, which was not very well attended, but again, I think that maybe some of our messaging is to get it out there and let everyone know. I will revisit that again because out of our 32 crimes for the year, 17 were felony assaults. We got to work on that. We had 4 grand larceny, 6 grand larceny autos, 2 burglaries and 3 robberies. Very small numbers, but you know that assault is very disturbing. One of the other things that in our trends that we have are these petty larcenies. We have to get that way under control for the year. For the month of December, we had a total of 10. We continue to make arrests. We continue to make arrests for these petty larcenies, but for the year we had 102, and most of them occurred either at Dwayne Reed or Food Town. We have our post there, you know, but even with our post there, I think that some of the people that they purposely, you know, they see that our post is there. You know, we've talked, you know, to Dwayne Reed, Walgreens, about having, you know, some type of security inside, as most of the, you know, businesses in Manhattan have gone to kind of lower these petty larcenies. It is something that we have to work on to get way a better result. You know, the felony assaults and these petty larcenies, and why I say that with these petty larcenies, because sometimes they do, you know, take a different turn with someone other than just taking property from the store, or someone, you know, running over the manager, or, you know, getting to hand to hand, and it escalates from this petty larceny to something more serious. And that is something that we have to, you know, get a better hold on, work harder on, and just, you know, clamp down on it. We have, you know, some you know, are recidivists. Some of the people who we know, they come back and they commit these crimes over and over again. So that is a priority, just because, you know, it kind of, you know, eats at our quality of life in that area. It is something that PSC has to, you know, get in there and work on. Other than those few crimes that we had for the month and for the year, like I said, 32 is a very small number, especially in our community. But those assaults and petty larcenies are something that we have to work at to get a better number at. We continue to perform the verticals in the buildings at a high number. Again, like I said, Roosevelt landings, we perform the most vertical, but we also had to you know, put a lot of our focus on 460 Main Street. We're not only verticals, but just responding to calls for service there. one resident that has been kind of a target of one of the other residents. We have offered and we have performed escorts for this resident on a number of occasions, just because we have to ensure that everyone is safe in these areas, especially 460. We've been working with the management, the president, Mr. Haynes. He has reached out to get Department of Social Services into 460. We are going to formalize how we and strategize how we are going to go about having them and identify the people who we should be referring to social services together with the building. This is not something that I think PSC should take on by itself. This is the building has a big part in the management of the building, that we all have to work together and try to minimize some of these quality of life issues that are going on. The parking at the unloading, I two things that are going on. There's a big traffic study that Prince from Capital Planning has taken on that is underway as far as and this is all inclusive, just getting everything in line, like how we can make the traffic better on Roosevelt Island. But one of the things that I have instructed to my officers is that we're here to help. When people have to unload and load, and the trucks unload and load, I hear residents saying, they don't like the double parkers, but the businesses have to get their supplies in. We have to, work together as a community, get the businesses, get their trucks loaded and unloaded, get residents who drive up. But, I also say this too, some residents, one of the things that we can't allow is just pulling up to the bus stop and say, I have to unload my car. We have my PSC officers, they're out there. They're more than ready, willing, and able to accommodate a number of people. If you just ask them, they'll try to find a spot for them. But there were some that just say, I should be able to pull up, put my car right in the bus stop and unload my car. And that creates hazards. So, like, as far as I want to help and I'm here to help, there were some times that unfortunately, some people have been told they can't park there at this time, or they have to move their car at this time. And,
do we still have the like bus stop makes me think of Island House. Do we still have the unloading areas there, but are people like handicapped parking in the unloading zones? Is there a reason why? Or they can't go in the breezeway? Is there some?
We have the unloading. We have loading and unloading. I have a resident that, he comes to me and says, there's always someone in the loading. And I not that I have a little bit of pushback, but, my officers are out there. They're trying to keep the space, moving so that different people can unload and load. Sometimes it results in that we have to work with giving out summonses and tickets. But, our main focus, even when we're giving out tickets, that person who needs to load or unload is still being inconvenienced. So our main objective is to try to work with the community, get people what they need and where they have to go at that moment. And then we will take care of ticketing people who abuse these conditions.
I see Frank has a hand up, and Frank, we don't have a lot of time. Is this in relation to what Kevin is speaking of right now?
Yes, the simple solution is to make more parking available. None of your approaches provably can work. And the reason why they cannot work is because if you have people trying to park, and Main Street is completely full, which I have pictures of this, and there's one spot left in Motorgate, where are you going to tell people to go? There's nowhere, and that's because the Motorgate parking is all problematic in a variety of ways. So you can't fix the problem with any of those solutions, because it implies that there must be a place where people can park, and there is none.
Thank you, Frank. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, moving down, the speed cushions will be removed for the winter months. I don't want to jinx us and say the snow word, but in anticipation, if we were to get snow, the plows do not work well with the speed cushions. So they have been removed for the winter months, and they will be back at the beginning of March, either end of February, beginning of March.
How long did that
Staffing.
take? How long does that take to remove all of them and put them back? I mean, what kind of timing is that? Is
A
that
day. It takes a day. It takes a full day.
Right.
Staffing in our training, we unfortunately we had 3 officers resign in the last week. Around this time, NYPD puts in a class, and we have officers resign at that time. We had 1 officer go into NYPD, and 2 officers, they went to different places, but and so we are down negative. We're down 5 officers, which we are hiring. We had a little anticipation, and we have interviewed. We're hiring 3 replacements on Monday, but there's 3 new people,
Right.
and we have to get them up to speed, get them trained, and functioning as PSC officers, which takes a few weeks to
Were
just get.
were these special patrolmen that resigned people who already had their certification, people who were waiting for certification but had the training? What level people were these?
The 2 of the people had their training, but not their special patrolman certification. 1 of the 3 had their special patrolman.
Okay.
So we lost 1 special patrolman and 2 people who had training but were awaiting their special
Okay.
patrolman. And they were good officers.
Yeah.
They were very good officers in NYPD.
Yeah, of course. It's what happens. Rick, your hand is up. Is this in relation to this?
It was in relation to what he had said earlier, Kevin said earlier about incidents. I was just curious, in January, there were 2 grand larcenies and 1 assault. And the assault was on January 2nd near the subway in Duane Reade. And I was told it had something to do with a gang initiation.
Who told you that?
One of the people that witnessed it, one of the parents.
We don't have that information.
It was like a kid. There were 4 kids that attacked another kid.
No, we don't have that information that it was any type of gang assault.
Did you have officers on site when it happened?
Yes, we had actually the lieutenant, sergeant, and 2 officers who were on site.
So
And
what happened?
and that it was a fight between teenagers.
And nothing to do with gang initiation.
Not anything to do with gang initiative. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes and I don't know if this is just your reporting, how we go down this path that we make things that aren't what they are, and just throw this out there. And I don't know how that reporting, gets to go on. I don't have that type of information about a gang initiation.
Well, it wasn't report. I didn't report it because I waited to ask you whether it was true or not. And that's why communications is so important.
Right. Okay.
And
So
the 2
go
grand
on.
larcenies, what were the 2 grand larcenies?
One was property stolen, where a credit card was stolen, and one was a motor vehicle that was stolen. That you specifically
Credit card, was
inquired
that in
about.
Duane Reade? Was
No,
that in?
it was a person who left their bag unattended down at Jack McManus Park.
And if there's a credit card, in the bag, it becomes a grand larceny because it's.
Yes.
Okay. I saw there was
And
something,
the
in-
stolen car was from the Motorgate garage or elsewhere?
There was a stolen motorcycle from that area underneath the Helix.
Felix.
Okay, all
okay, thank you.
right, thank you.
Go ahead, Kev. Sorry.
The other thing, Kev, can I just ask one thing? I just want everyone in the committee to understand this, because I thought this was pretty understood. In our daily blotter, if someone reports any kind of incident, whatever they're reporting, whether it's true or not, or whether it's founded in the long run during the investigation, whatever they're reporting is what the officer will put in the blotter as the topic. So, for example, and I'm just using this as an example. If you said there was an alien attacked me, if someone complained about an alien attacking him, we would write suspicious alien attack. Although that's going to be unfounded, that's what's being reported to PSD. So we don't say something didn't happen until it's investigated. So if someone says that they were robbed, or if someone says that they were assaulted, even if that didn't actually happen, that's what goes down on our incident report until it can be founded or unfounded, just like any police report. If you go into the 114 precinct and say that Kevin Brown robbed you, they're going to do a report for a robbery. Later on during the investigation, they might find out Kevin Brown never robbed Anthony Amoroso, and it's unfounded. But the title of the report, when it's filled out by the officer, goes down as a robbery. You know, whether it's a founded robbery or it's an unfounded robbery, that's what it goes down for. So I know a lot of people see things in the blotter, like this happened, that happened, how come this wasn't? A lot of times that, you know, the two perfect examples are the sexual assaults that.
Well, let me just comment on that,
go ahead.
because one of the things that I have always, you know, thrown out to the residents, that anybody can come into public safety and inquire about any type of concern. But, you know, it's, you know, twice, you know, we RIOC had to go back against something that was just thrown out there into the blog, I'm sorry, about sexual assault. And then we get these comments that, wow, you know, what's PSC doing or what's RIOC doing? I think that, and I know that on both occasions, the blogger knew and had information that there were no sexual assaults.
That's
And
not true.
Well, on one occasion, I told you specifically that didn't happen.
The first one, Rick.
On the first one, I saw you in the street and I told you specifically, I said that did not happen. I wouldn't write about that. And you still wrote about that.
The chief told you it's being.
And I told you.
And you shouldn't write about it until it's finalized, and you ignored that.
And
Well, that's
then-
because the NYPD told me something differently.
Okay.
But see, but this is all,
But
this all
right,
happens
but I'm
because
just
there's
saying,
not the communications.
I don't
But
know
he-
when the NYPD could have told you that there was a sexual assault if there wasn't.
And Rick, the chief did tell you to hold off on it, let it be investigated.
I think he said something about.
The
it was
following
some-
meeting,
no,
Rick, following meeting, you actually said that the chief told you that. And he didn't say anything to everybody, but he never told you that there was a sexual assault. He told you that it was being investigated, you should hold off. I was right there when he told you that.
Yeah, I didn't say he said it was a sexual assault.
In the thing, you said the chief had provided the information. That wasn't true. He didn't provide it.
I'll have to look back and see exactly what was said, but whatever was reported was accurate. That's,
Okay,
it always
and then
is.
and then the second one that happened, you wrote even in your statement that you inquired with NYPD and they said it was unfounded, they had nothing.
Yeah,
So there was no sexual assault.
I didn't say it was. I said there was a report from the public safety. It was on the public
Yeah.
safety blot and you refused.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to you is that if someone makes an allegation, we're going to put it in our incident report, whether that's founded or not. Then it stemmed off to growing tentacles that there were sexual assaults going on It wasn't being told to the community. That's,
But
No,
so you're
so then
saying you put it
when
in
I
your-
ask, that's why I always ask beforehand. And if I don't get a response,
That's the communication issue.
that's,
If
if you just,
for instance, if I read it and somebody actually called me on it and I spoke to Kevin, he, it went no further. But if anybody reads it on your blotter and then they come there and it says that, they're then going to say
Aaron-
to Rick, wow, what's this? Or da, 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 da,
Aaron,
da,
it's gotta be
unless there's
investigated.
communication.
That-
Of
that's what-
course,
it's gotta be investigated before we could say if it happened or it didn't happen.
I understand that, but people are, you're complaining because he read it and then he's saying he asked. But if anybody reads that blotter and says, oh, they're all going to be thinking and making crazy comments until it's investigated, and they may not even know to go back
But
and see
I
that it
but I
didn't
think,
happen.
but Rick knew that this didn't happen.
no, that's not true.
Well, I don't know about that. He's
That's
Call
denying it.
NYPD. You called NYPD.
All right,
they
well, we
told
only
you
have
they-
another minute or so, so
Okay.
let's move on.
All right, again, so, quality of life issues. And I do get it. When crime is low, we have to take care of all the little things. And, and I do hear the community. One of the quality of life issues that has been, it just won't go away. But, my officers have been instructed, within safely, they have to, the bicycle safety, the e-bikes, but I two things happen and two things can be true at the same time. I think that Roosevelt Island is kind of indicative of what's going on in the city with, these e-bikes that are not, regulated and, drive really fast. And I do have to, at the same time, have my officers be safe at the same time. So, we are, coming up with, a little bit of a strategy to try to discourage or, make sure that most of the people on these e-bikes are delivery people. Again, we did this probably about 2 years ago, going back out to the sources, going back out to the restaurants, let them know that if their employees do not obey the rules and regulations on Roosevelt Island, that we will be seizing their bikes and charge them with reckless driving, and make sure that this does not, that this is a safety issue, and that we have to and we must stay on top of this. Last year, I dedicated 2 officers to our bike unit, but again, when we lose, when we're down 5 officers at a time, we have to compensate somewhere. But one place that I can't refocus the energy is on safety, and we will, stay on top of this. It is definitely an issue that is at the top of our list, and a quality of life issue of keeping Roosevelt Island residents safe. The 560 Breezeway, I've seen this, but we check these breezeways. We've given summonses out. A lot of this is working in conjunction with the building. Some people are allowed to park there, some people are not allowed to be there. And we have to, bring in the building and be a partner in maintaining these breezeways. So is there any new business that you wanted to?
Any questions from the floor? One question, Kevin. There were some people that were parking and they are not handicapped, but they were due to limitations of space. They had parked in the handicap parking and were given tickets. When they went down to court, the judge had said that the tickets were not real, or that they weren't on the street and that they weren't really supposed to be given. Is it a policy of public safety to give tickets in Motorgate for people who are parked? Because I see them in the yellow lines all the time. I found people in my reserved spot in handicapped and in other places where they're not parked appropriately. Is public safety giving out tickets for that?
Well, we give out tickets when we are alerted to this by the Motorgate staff. Parking in the handicap, we don't have any jurisdiction, I guess, over what the judge does once we give the ticket. But if it is a violation, and we can write a ticket for you being in a handicap spot.
So you don't, I mean, I mention it because I see them all the time, like, so they're parked on the wall because of the limitations, I'm sure, but on the walls and the yellow lines in front of the doors. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well,
And I would rather people park there though than the handicap. But if there's no place to park, because now this issue with the handicap, they're charging for handicap, really concerns me when I look at our issue with handicap people parking on the street. As we said, in the loading zones, in unloading zones, in the limited parking spots on Main Street, if they start charging, which they're planning to do next month, for handicap parkers, which generally just have to sign the book and it's free, we're going to have, I'm sure, a fair amount of people starting to park on the street. Rather than, we always had that benefit, we always had the advantage of being able to say or encourage them to go park in Motorgate, it's free. All of these, the reserved spots that we have on the street, the unloading areas, what are we going to do if people can't afford, who are handicapped, to pay for their handicap spots? That's a big, I mean, I'm worried about it. I has one, I can afford to pay for it, but many people, I'm sure, cannot. And I know the trouble that they cause me. 595, half of the people parking in the side by my house are handicapped. They never move, they're there. The Island House, the unloading zone, is often handicapped people are parking, and they have a right? They have a right to park wherever. And it's going to really make it difficult on the street.
I think that we are going to work with RIOC. Some of the handicap rules that we have for the street, we're going to definitely look into them, where people can park and where they can't park.
I mean, we used to have the hang tag. You used to be able to use the hang tags up over by Manhattan Park. I don't know how many of those, the blue line is still there, because we moved and we went into Motorgate and got off of the street. But I'm just, I'm fearful of what the street will.
So I think that we're going to work together to try to make sure that there is, spaces so that the handicap can park, as well as the residents.
Shirley has her hand up, and then Shirley, I'm going to have to end because I'm supposed to be in another meeting. Go ahead, Shirley.
Well, I park in the handicap whenever I want to. I park there. They give me a ticket, I know it's going to be dismissed. All I have to do is wait 3 weeks, and they dismiss it because it's not. They said the tickets are written wrong because it's not on the street; it's in a garage. You will not get a NYPD policeman come up there writing in the tickets. You think that's not going to do it because it's not within the guidelines of the city of New York City. And I have the proof right here when they send it back to me. All I have to do is wait 3 weeks and they dismiss it. So if that's the way it's going to be, I'm going to write up some signs and put up there and tell people, if you park here, they give you a ticket, don't pay the ticket, just wait 3 weeks, tell them that you park here, you pay the pocket. It's a damn garage, it's a private property. It's private. It's not city property, it's private. And I'm gonna park that so they can give me a ticket all they want because I'm gonna have it dismissed. They're gonna dismiss it because it's not within the city guidelines.
See, unfortunately, I would rather she not park in the handicap, but park on the yellow lines where I see people park all the time and don't get
I'm
tickets.
gonna park where I wanna park because I pay to park there.
Well, they need more spots, obviously.
So if they give me a ticket, I know it's gonna be dismissed. The problem is I just gotta wait 3 weeks. That's the only problem, because I know it's
Rick?
gonna be dismissed.
Just Is it true that the disabled are going to be charged at Motorgate, or is that just? a
That's what
rumor?
we were told. We were told this month when we signed the book, because my husband has a hang tag.
He's only one
Was-
person. You got 160.
No,
handicap
this
parking
isn't
there.
on that. What I'm saying, Shirley, the concern that we're bringing is that
They
they're going
need to
to
bring it
start
up to
charging
management
them.
because I want to see management because those parking
Yes,
places,
Rick.
you when you go to any store, you're not gonna have 160 parking handicap parking spots there. And a lot of those people are not even handicapped. They got the signs, but they're not handicapped. The way I see them jumping and running out of those cars and beating me to the elevator and I can hardly walk. These are not handicapped people.
You need to go get yourself a handicap.
No, they don't give it to me because they say I can walk.
It depends which kind you get. You had a hip surgery,
Knee surgery on both knees.
then sweetheart, go talk to your orthopedist. You can
Well,
get
no,
one.
they did. They won't give it to me, but I don't
Go
know how
to a
to.
different one.
My sister-in-law told me how to get it, but I'm not a dishonest person.
It's not about being dishonest.
A lot
We're
of those
talking
people
about your
be
knees being
dishonest.
bad and
They're
you can't get to
parking
the
there and they're
elevator. It's
dis-
only
and
good
they
in the
put
garage. It's
pressure-
not good on
They're
the
putting
street.
pressure on PD and public safety to give tickets. Ain't no real policeman gonna come up there and give you no ticket.
But yes,
because
Rick,
it's not
the
on the
answer is
street.
yes. They told me that they were going to be charging starting next month.
No, they
handicap.
didn't tell me that. When
Who's
I
the-
wanna
who's
see
they?
management.
The
I
person
wanna
in
talk
the,
to
maybe
management.
Corrine, the person, they actually spoke to Ike. I don't know exactly. He
Oh.
came
I
out,
wanna
signed the
talk to
book and was
management.
informed.
Right,
it would
just
be
because
charged.
They need to take it up with
Huh?
management, not with
Several,
public safety.
several months ago, the parking garage said that the rates were going to double,
They are gonna go
but
up
then
to,
RIOC said it was a miscommunication. So I'm wondering if this is a miscommunication too.
I don't know, it would be, it's
No, but
not
I'm
gonna
gonna
be next
park,
month. We'll
and
see.
they just wanna park on the 5th floor. They
Kevin,
don't care
do
if
you
you park
know?
on the 6th floor.
I'm
They
not
don't care
sure.
if you park on the 7th.
I'm not sure.
We'll see, but you can bring it back, Kevin, maybe to
Yes.
Shelton and just let him know that the backlash from that is just the possibility that there will be even more congestion on Main Street, or he will have to find other parking spots for people, because I think a lot of disabled are on, restricted incomes and may not, I'm not sure, I forgot, I told me how much. I mean, it was less, but
15 spots available.
how many?
There's 415 spots available as of this weekend, when it said there was only one on the sign when you enter to take out, you get your ticket. Okay, so that means minus the people who are not parked but are unreserved. Okay, but I asked the manager there, I said, how come it says only one's available? I count 415. And he says, well, it's the unreserved. I said, there aren't 415 unreserved, spots, unreserved, people outside who are waiting to come in. That's just not true. And the way you know this is because the sign is wrong on the outside. It says 720. And why do I think that's happening? It's because they've improperly licensed this parking garage. I think Rick did a story on this a while ago. There's a couple of years ago, we complained about it, and it's still the
Okay.
same problem.
We've already heard this. I don't want to repeat it, only I'm sorry. I usually don't rush off of these meetings, but I have a meeting that started at 8 and usually I have to take the minutes. So
But it's
they may
8:14.
not be being taken at this point if I don't get on it. So,
It's 8:14.
yes, it is. So, anything else that's important?
I will
Any
keep you guys
business?
updated.
Just thank you.
All right.
I'm
And
just
yeah,
gonna
about
this
the,
ticket dismissed. They dismissed it.
just concerned on that
Right.
handicap thing for, that will
I'll
really,
definitely get back to the.
that'll be
Yeah,
scary.
well, what I'm gonna do is write some signs up and put them there, tell people if they park there, don't pay no ticket.
This is the rebel. You're gonna have a problem, man. Shirley's gonna go
Well,
out
you
with
know
a
what? I
sign
got
on
a
her.
sp- I
You're
got
gonna
a
be
spray
standing down
can.
at Motorgate with a
I
sandwich
got a
sign.
spray can. I got a spray can.
Oh, God. Don't,
Yes.
you're on tape. Shirley, be quiet.
I got a spray can and I got an ice pick.
This is the public safety chair.
All right.
You're
Have a
right.
good night.
Good night,
I'm gonna go,
everybody.
on that, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
I
All right,
think
good
I'm
night.
leaving. All
Good
right,
night.
good night.
Thank you,
Frank
thank you.
is the main one who's up there putting pressure on
Ciao.
me. I know it's Frank. Frank